Sentinels are once again your Valorant World Champions. But getting here was not a cakewalk. Before finally winning on Icebox, both teams went blow for blow on Split, Ascent, Bind, but it all started on Breeze. This map set the tone early, featuring a patented Astra comp that's given teams nothing but nightmares. Right out of the gate on map 1, Sentinels knew this series wasn't going to be easy. But really? On a map this big, we aren't running Cypher? It's ridiculous. So join me as we dive headfirst into the beginning of this best of 5 slugfest and dissect the comp that embarrassed Sentinels. Sentinel's pistol strat is simple. Hold these lines. With halls being opened back up, there are now 5 different lanes that the defense need to contest. But there's a few ways to minimize these. One of which is by setting a player up an elbow. Here, they can eliminate one of these avenues and ensure that their teammates can stack A. And while they're getting proactive on B, Cypher and Viper's job is to hold this imaginary line. Their goal is to keep the offense contained in this area and punish a double doors or pipes wrap with these trips and a halls push with this poison orb. If they can keep GenG on this side of sight, their retake should be easy. And speaking of, look at GenG's comp. The one role they're missing is a Sentinel. And even though they're on attack, the offense want to make sure none of the defense are pushing out to gain vital information.
Just tell me where they are. I'll do the rest.
No peeking!
So every player is lined up to hold space for a bit before heading into their execute. But why? With this much utility, shouldn't the attackers be able to just plow over either site? Well, Timmy, I'll show you in a second. Lakia makes the first move by darting outside shop to beat back any potential defenders, and Zekin walks down elbow in return. As he gets ready to peek, Sassy activates his owl drone. Both players jiggle once it gets broken, and Charon deals minor chip damage. Zekin decides to back off, not knowing if he's getting pinched from mid, but no one's here. Karen gets out by recalling a star, but now that enough time has passed, GenG feel confident that they've anchored the defense enough to ensure a solid exec. They form up into a 4-1 split through double door. But despite getting shot at, Zekin's still on the prowl. He understands that his team won't be able to fend off a full-blown execute against this comp, and desperately needs this early info to bolster them down. And as soon as he peeks into an empty B main, Zelsis drops from halls just in time.
QT just crouched behind this one, still flash. Molly coming through, trip as well, and the counter play. There's the response, the return of firepower. Zelsis left to pick up those pieces, but already a site has been gained and granted. Shock dart kills, 2 versus 2.
This snakebite stalled just long enough for Rotates to come in and get this trap wire a kill. The execute was well handled by GenG. Both teams placed perfect shocks. But now, it's all up to mind games. Zekin and Sassy have just shown themselves in mid, and Karen has smoked them off to ensure a safe plant. But Zekin has immediately whipped out his knife and is sprinting toward shop, wanting to reposition and catch the remaining attackers off guard. Karen plants, but unlike every Tens fan, he wasn't born yesterday. He points his ghost at the possible flank, but just misses him. But now, GenG are petrified. So much time has passed that Sentinels can now come from halls and hit them from the back. Lakia darts main to clear a question mark, but Zekin dodges that too. And once it fades, Sassy's recon is now online, and he's trying to bait for his jet.
Ready, clearing it. At least onto one position here, but time's starting to work and tick against the face from all of them. On top now, Sassy versus Lakia, and they're all players against one another.
Pause real quick. Don't you think that it'd be sick as hell to run plays like this in your rank games and just farm RR? Well, now you can, because with my custom playbooks over on my Patreon, you can do just that. I've crafted set plays that you and your duo can run on any map and steal RR from your enemies. Now, here are the ones that we have so far, but I have a lot more coming. I literally walk you through each step of the play and explain to you what to do with each piece of your utility and how to maximize its value. And that's not all. By becoming a Brain Bud, you also gain access to my personal tier lists, team's power rankings, Q&A videos, live breakdowns done in real time in my server, custom channels to talk to me and ask me questions, and a ton more. So if you want to rank up with some badass plays, learn a bit more about Valorant, and support me at the same time, subscribe to my Patreon. Please, I'm running out of money. Sentinel's eco strat was solid. They gambled hard and left B wide open, but when you only have classics, you kind of have to take risks like this. Their plan was to pinch this third of the map through halls and shop. Tens lobbed a flash for these two to swing. Saucy walked on halls so Zelsis could lay out his toxic screen that should decay the attackers if they try to retreat, and when combined with this snakebite and recon, it worked. It is a big pinch.
Has to really knock them down and deep. Now there's a flash play here with a util. Still is happening on multiple sections here with Mita falling down.
Push down holes.
Yeah.
Push down holes.
Trying to squeeze them now with the drone close quarters. Combat might be in order, but again, there's that long sight line and teams finally coming through with the right clicks. Finally left.
GenG were completely taken by surprise, guns were dropped, and the offense were forced to leave them and went B, including an outlaw. But Munchkin's spidey senses were tingling, and caught Tens before he could do more damage, and then caught John QT jump spotting. But there's still an outlaw on the loose, and they're all below 140 HP.
He's already been spotted out, beautiful.
Now, it's the first full buy, and GenG want to hit Sentinels with some aggressiveness of their own. In their 1-1-3 default, Sova is enabling his duelist to take peeks out on the site, Viper is abusing their multitude of smokes to make a play in mid, while Astra stays put in elbow. And now Astra is a pretty underrated pick on this map. Being able to smoke anywhere at a moment's notice on Valorant's largest map is a big plus. So she's allowing Viper to play more loose, knowing that no matter what, GenG will have backup smokes. Or, if both smokes are alive for the hit, Viper's wall allows your team to scale out, drop, and clear what's behind it. Or you can just cycle your smokes. What I'm saying is that they're just really flexible. But with great smokes comes great weaknesses. Now Sentinel still needs Zekin to feed the rest of his team information to get an early read and avoid getting run over. So Sova's helping him do just that, while Cypher anchors B with his traps, cages, and Viper wall, while these two stall on A with their mollies. The offense moved quicker than previous rounds by darting bricks to deter a push, and smoking both Nest and Double Door, allowing Viper to move up quickly. But Zekin's moving quick too.
Much to support him, not too much to trade him, but he sees it, hears it, and there's the kill. Collected onto Munchkin, but it's offset. Immediately onto the other side of the map. No fast pace increase here from GenG. Happy to just play for that pick, play for the York.
Remember, GenG don't have Cypher like 99% of other team comps do, ever since Halls was added back for some reason. His camera is crucial at scanning large amounts of this map, and could have caught Zekin on his way out of tunnel. But instead, they've opted for extra smokes to block off Nest. And that's fine, but you need to be wary of your team's weaknesses, especially when playing a team of this caliber. But Texture took down one of the two side anchors, and Zekin has dashed across the mid, quickly scanning the area for information, while at the same time, rushing to reinforce the now weak A site. But because GenG have caused this much commotion on A, and no one's pushed up elbow yet, their plan is to group up and hit this site next. Plus, Astra smokes just fit nicer here. But against all of this utility, it's Cypher's time to shine.
Starting to hit into this side, but John QT is going to be sitting side by with his rifle. Might have to try and put a stop to this one, but it's difficult. Well, adversaries to try and overcome here. Still not showing his hand. Dart, potential there to set that one up, but finally a few shots fired, and Rattle Texture's been creeping and crawling up onto the angle. Finally there, and releases it.
Now GenG dealt with this whole setup really well. This trap wire was set up so that Cypher could spam through either of these walls, his tall cage heavily discouraged anyone from pushing through, and this cage back sight prevents Cypher from getting tagged from the recon dart and increases his survivability. And I didn't even mention this big ass wall that does damage as soon as you touch it. But as soon as the first cage popped, GenG slowed their roll and dealt with each piece of utility. And to top it all off, Astra's Nebulas slotted in perfectly into tunnel and spawn. This smoke turns McDonald's from annoying off angles into one and done cubbies, and Saucy got punished. But all of these abilities have bought just enough time for Zekin and Zelsis to flank fast.
The Sentinels. Disadvantaged position. Gonna watch that one though. 80th second. And that's 8 seconds left. A round-winning play perhaps, but now a safe plant position for Meteor, tucked right behind the pillar. We'll be able to get the extension into the round, but can he survive the 1v2? Already through, and second!
Meteor has his first dimensional drift, so both teams are planning around it. GenG are trying to sell a fake by the looks of this gate crash in their initial 3-2 setup. But there are two big wrenches being thrown into this game plan. Wrench number 1 comes in the form of KO's knife, which doesn't tag anyone outside of A, which isn't bad. But wrench number 2 is Saucy's drone coming through B. It tags Jet, and now all of a sudden, this fake doesn't seem so strong. So GenG decide to book it back to their Yoru, who has cleared out all of A with his dimensional drift. But do they clear halls?
Meteor though, potentially getting some of that information over towards the one side with a nice Blade Storm. running them through, and the IGL dropped.
Previously, Sova droned down Elbow to enable Jet to get a first blood or early info. So that's what it looked like here. But in reality, this early owl drone and this 0 point were just info gatherers for Zekin to walk down halls and have a solid idea of where the offense could be. And this fake could have worked too. With Astra's extra smokes, you can dedicate Viper's toxic screen to deny info on A and still have smokes for B. I'm going more in depth on this topic in a future video, but normally you don't want to pre-place Viper's wall A, as you just make it impossible for your team to hit B when they have to deal with this many off angles. But with Munchkin falling, Karon now needs to use his smokes for A. And by the way, this Viper kill turns out to be huge for Sentinels. Because the spike got planted for free, GenG had an entire arsenal of utility to stall the defuse. But now these two are headed on round the world flanks. They might not have Viper, but Sova, and especially Astra, can stall for a while.
Crash not going to be baited out from that one still. Lakia is also getting a move on through halls. Could be that late lurk play in that position. Meteor going to be cleaned up there with the trade still. A tap. No one forced out wide. Lakia though gaining that kill and closing the door in front of him. Neural theft. Giving the info. Texture. Now the emphasis placed on him. A dash to the side here, but a pull online, not half. Onto the spike. Could be a big difference maker. Could be a massive one in fact. GenG have got them surrounded on almost every single front right now, picking them apart, the threads unraveling, leave it at just John QT, but again, the time ticking away, and it's just far too late for it. GenG find themselves up nice and easy onto that third.
GenG really squeezed all the value they could find out of this grab well. Zelsis tapped the spike to pop the suck, but Texture jiggled from on top of this strong off angle and noticed that no one was on. This extra time allowed both players to calmly continue their lurks, and then when Zelsis actually tried to half it, Karon waited for just the right amount of time to pull him off. Karon's lurk came just in time, and then there were still shocks and a Nova Pulse to deal with. Playing against a good Astra who plays mind games with a utility like this really sucks. Now I know GenG beat Paper X multiple times, but I think they stole a page out of their playbook. They started the round slow, each posted up on their own lane, waiting to see if Sentinels would try something gutsy. And after about 40 seconds of not seeing anything, Munchkin laid out his wall in A, and Lakia droned out, tagged someone, and ripped his Hunter's Fury. This caused a major shift in the defense, granting the offense a free sight, where they just used their Cosmic Divide in place of their Toxic Screen. They took B with this bombardment of utility, and Munchkin planted. Now here's where things get a bit trolly.
Smokes online, that pit did not cover the spike.
Oh, and a lot of respect as well being showcased as well to a weaker buy of Sentinels, but second. See what damage he can do here, still with the rifle in his hand. They found the first one, but again, a lot to get through. It's murky territory, a blight onto the B site with that pit, but they really wrangled control of this one. They found Karon, but again, Munchkin is the player that needs to fall to really stand a chance into this one. Yes, it doesn't cover it. Texture alive and kicking, working his way around, but he's being found. Sassy drops him. And one player left to stand as Lakia crouched, cowering, fear in his heart. He cannot face them. A thrifty win for Sentinels.
This Viper's Pit allowed the close-range pistols to close the distance, and I think Meteor was getting his ecos, which I'm not against. He's close to his ult, but not like this. He donated a Vandal, and things just got out of hand for GenG. Had they played back and just beat the classics with their rifles, they don't drop this round. But this mistake has cost them big time. They're now the ones with low money, but might be okay if these three can grab this orb and activate their Blade Storm. And within just 5 seconds, plus an art, she has it. And now that shop is on lock, GenG shift their default into one we've seen previously. Their win condition is their knives. And instead of running into Viper, they want to enable Jet in the mid alongside their 2 other rifles. So Viper goes here to hold the space, they go here to go have fun, and the offense slowly start to creep up mid, looking for any kind of opening. But even against the low buys, Sentinels are always proactive. You have to be on a map with 5 lanes. Tens is down halls, and he hears Munchkin stomping away. He starts calling to his teammates to check out my Patreon, and the B stack starts to form. Little does Viper know that she's being followed, stalked by an apex predator.
Out through tunnel.
Tens has got to be careful here not to overflank. He just needs to play to contain. He grabs one,
No
grabs
way!
2.
And the heads will roll before that space gains. And guess what? GenG just sent rattling now all the way, man! The movement looking clean with it. Texture's got something to say still. Only one blade left. Rest of them finding it into the back wall, but there's the refresh and shut down. Traded time.
Texture quickly realized his team was losing ground, so he pushed into sight to make it up. He eventually got pinched, but Karon backed out, realizing that mid to A should be open. He's made it just in time and pops a Nebula on door to isolate his duels.
Weak. Really weak. He's got so wide. Zelsis needs to be ready. Karon! The movement impeccable, the aim on top. And he's brought it to a 1v1. Yes, damage has been done, but this guy, from rank to superstardom all the way on the grand stage, he does not seem phased at all. Zekken to face him now. Again, slow walking onto the angle. The noise and information just being cut away entirely. It could just come down to chance. Cloudburst straight up into the air. Zekken diffusing. Drops down by taking a 1!
And this is why it's important that you group up before your retakes. As soon as these two went down, Karon could have gone anywhere. I mean, come on, Sentinels. This is stuff you see in Ranked. Last round, GenG tried to go for a triple Halls contact play after all three dodged this early recon. But the map was quiet. Too quiet. So Sova ripped his drone after seeing this star get placed down, and then did this.
Able to check the money, at least in the follow-up now into this round, but yeah, here's that play before as well. I mean,
if you're playing against Sova's ult, you probably want to stay away from Halls. But after last round's massacre, GenG are gearing up to slam A again with their second dimensional drift. And with their 2 saved rifles, everyone can buy again, except Viper, but that's okay. Their plan is to run it down and plant as quickly as possible. And in this execute, Yoru's ult turns Astra's kit into a mortar. She doesn't have to blindly use her utility on an execute, but Yoru can tell her when and where to fire on somebody. And then when they finally storm site, their win condition is to stall out as long as they can with their vast array of AoE abilities. So Viper just needs to shoot her mollies, not her gun. Turn that thing off. Yeah, I know they have KO ult, and he might prevent all this utility from being used. But GenG aren't stupid. Astra could pop a gravity well from across the world, and KO would need to get this deep into A main to eventually hit Viper to stop her lineups and take down her wall. Also remember, the offense don't have anyone to watch flank, so playing back here kills 2 birds with 1 stone. These two are watching flank and playing to their game plan. Stall the diffuse. Now Sentinels know how strong your result is, and are again getting proactive elsewhere to ensure they have a strong retake coming from multiple chokes. And since Yoru can't spot trips in his dimensional drift, these 3 are playing back, ready to spam a potential B hit. Sen start the round by suppressing shop and halls, but Lockett darts the entrance to clear any aggressiveness. But once the suppression wears off, Meteor clears the site with his ult, and Zekken peeks mid while 10 scales in to shoot. And I think Sentinels might know what GenG are up to.
Against the wall, could just be walking straight into it. Shot missed though. It's a jiggle, and guess what? The entirety of the site has been gained. Given up entirely here, just from that dimensional drift.
Zekken can't land the shot, but TenZ's positioning is what matters here. If he decides to use his null command on flank, instead of through double door, he'd be making the biggest brain play of the century. And he doesn't. TenZ activates his ult, Saci and Zelsis shock spit Ivy, but do they have enough time? Spike's already mollied.
So many areas, and then put pressure so deep to punish Karon and Munchkin.
Already the lineup sailing across. Dart, not quite broken. Reveal onto multitudes of targets. Again, this all causing issues, and it is too much to overcome. Too much to clear. Ults are being rattled off here. Texture from the high ground, eventually traded. And now the flash, pop flash, round the corner. TenZ, who's on dodge. Meteor! Massive play. Zekken sticking inside the cage. Broken.
Astra's gravity well doesn't just stall for its duration, but if you delay the pull for 1.5 seconds like we've seen in multiple post plants now, you could buy your team precious seconds in order to close out rounds. Guys, I play a lot of Deadlock in Ranked.
But Teets, Deadlock literally can't hold space compared to every other Sentinel.
Yeah, shut up, I know. A big complaint I hear about her is that she doesn't have any utility to watch flank. Wah. Well, how do you think Counter-Strike players watch their flank? Yeah, with their eyes. Each comp has strengths and weaknesses. It gives and takes, and here, GenG have nothing to hold map control for them. At least that's what it looks like. They're spread out in a 3-2, wanting to locate Sentinel's Viper's Pit, and then make an educated decision. And now John QT and Zelsis are teaming up to make this round a living hell for GenG. Viper's going to spread her pit on B, but Cypher has his trapwires in spots to help her anchor this site, one being in the choke to prevent a rush, and one being in tunnel alongside his camera. Wires in this area tend to be unexpected, as B is harder to split against against these natural crossfires, and teams don't normally have smokes to do it. But if the attacker split B, Cypher can hop on his cam, call out what he sees, and Viper can spam this trip through her ult. All of this utility combined should allow the defense to keep a 4-stack up on A. The round starts, and GenG gets all the information they need. But Texture and Charon slither through tunnel to do some more investigating. Their door smoke forces JeanQT to pop his camera and check mid.
A dynamic duo.
And they don't spot the cam.
Brother,
But what are these two doing?
They can do any damage, at least focusing on that. That was a potential
Pushing out in a setup like this? Bold to say the least. Without Tens hitting a shot like this, I would consider this a throw. Now, normally, this would be a disaster for the offense without a Viper, forcing them to split a site through mid to break crossfires. But Astra's Cosmic Divide alleviates this loss, making this trade heavily lean in GenG's favor. The defense are forced to thin out their stack in order to watch halls, and the offense are aware. They decide to group up towards A, into shop, and Sassy darts inside. GenG barely dodge it, and Tens was ready to flash if it got broken. But because in Sentinel's head, they just cleared shop, GenG know they can walk up.
Big divide. Oh, Sassy goes down.
head rips clean off. Dark through into the back. Cosmic Divide gives him the perfect exit strategy here. Pop flash through, but Texture, he was aware of it. Facing away, or at least dodging it.
Sentinels just weren't expecting this execute. But notice Astra. Throughout this hit, she always put herself in a position to make sure her team couldn't get backstabbed. Extremely similar to a Cypher. From here, she can watch any flanks, and then she initiated her lurk mid only after her teammates executed and got a kill. Then from this position, she can still punish quick rotates from B, keep herself safe, and watch flank all at the same time. Man, who needs Cypher when you can have unlimited smokes? It's this round where my suspicions of Sentinel's game plan are confirmed. But before we get to that, we have to acknowledge how overpowered Yoru's dimensional drift really is. It's literally a Sova drone that goes at Mach 10 speeds and can flash. You might be mad in the comments, but you heard it here first. I know this is getting bumped up to 8 ult orbs. As a matter of fact, it's so strong that it has been altering how Sentinels have been playing. GenG are grabbing the B orb and are going there, and Sentinels know they can't hold sight against this hit. But notice how every time they know GenG are going to Yoru ult, the defense have pushed out to get proactive. And it's been working. They got a first blood walking down halls, then Zekin just whiffed peeking double doors, and here they plan on doing it again, but through tunnel. Meteor, Texture, and Lakia open the round by triple swinging window. They hop up, move down B main, Meteor grabs the orb, and immediately begins clearing all of sight for GenG. But Lakia dies to a simple low trip, which is kind of interesting. Everyone lately has been obsessed with these god trap wires that now it seems like people are forgetting about the simple wires we used to throw back in the day. Nice. GenG have sight, and Sentinels are down mid.
A chance really for him to clean up, but no, the crosshair placement just wasn't expecting that one. The deep contact play and push out from Sentinels. On the first
That's so
glance, it
good.
feels like they're in a really advantaged situation.
Yeah, definitely. They're realizing the fact that Charon and Munchkin are going to be playing in very passive positions. They found them both. They even isolate Munchkin, who's so far away. And yes, this has taken a lot of time, but it's set them up in a great situation to win the round.
Chance of playing the lineups anymore for Munchkin. Meteor, Texture have to go absolutely massive, but he instantaneous there with the trade and shut down in time. So the Sentinels are willing to make it that repeat of what happened last time these two teams clashed here.
GenG are flying up mid this round. Behind their instant smokes and blade storm, Sentinels won't have any idea what hit them.
Ended up picking deep dart here. Texture want to take advantage of this one, but it's
They
broken.
missed second.
Sassy using it. They did miss second. Hello, spots it. Up in the air. It's all about the reactions. Follow through there. Just a clone, but a shorty. Defending the area and teammates flooding back in. All to his avail.
Sentinels have countered GenG's quick mid play by flashing through double door and pinching. But they've lost track of the wings. Munchin's gotten one, but Sentinels feel like they've got the map on lockdown. KO's watching double door, Jet is holding all of B, and Sova and Cypher don't have to worry about halls just yet, as they didn't hear anyone run down or take the rope. But this is why it's important that as an attacker, you scale from multiple angles. Charon started the round from window instead of elbow. He quickly moved up as soon as this brawl happened in mid, hoping to find a timing. And he did. By scaling window, you completely bypass this powerful angle that the defense wants to peek for information. You've soiled their position and forced them to worry about another angle. Sort of like an icebox. You want to scale up from multiple angles and elevations positions so that the defense has a harder time containing you. If you make a habit of everyone funneling through one way, you make the defender's jobs stress-free. So Sentinels don't know it, but their setup's been breached. 007 makes his way through sight, dancing around the wires, and right behind the defense.
Spike has been dropped down into the center of the mid, and it's all down to the individual plays. You can see Keron also thinking about the same thing here, and Munchkin. Little territory gain down into mid for Sen, but they need to keep their eye on almost every single angle here. And guess what? Plenty of backs facing away from them. Keron, it's majestic! And just like that, turned away, ripped away. What should have been a slam dunk, Sen left looking in every possible direction, barely able to get it, but they do in the end.
The half ended 5-7 in favor of GenG, which had me worried. Without a Cypher, I thought that they were gonna get lurked on like crazy, which is what happened. GenG lost pistol, but we got to see some of the cure to the main weakness of this no Sentinel comp. On this round, GenG got proactive in halls and got the first blood, but Yoru got blindsided by Sova, and then Viper died to KO, who she just wasn't ready for. Running no Cypher on a map with 5 lanes is tough, but GenG are doing it. You just gotta keep moving. Like Keron got proactive this round and bailed Lakia out of a tough situation, winning the eco.
Lakia dropping 10 straight down to it. Control granted and gained, tucks it up and doubles up. Now with the drone over, an attempt to punish Keron, running and gunning. Celsius time, 12 seconds left. He needs to find his kill, but the rifle has been handed over, and so is the spike. John QT, head on a swivel. Too much to deal with, too much to overcome, and surrounded, man.
Then we had back-to-back superb anchor jobs from Munchkin.
Position to try to hit the B site. I believe Zeken's waiting for another piece of utility there. He's just delaying, waiting to peek at the right time, and sets up Munchkin for the triple kill.
Different team, and the deepest runs he's ever been, 9th to 10th.
And now finding himself pushing up with an ace to get to map point in the first of the grand finals.
But Teets, you skipped around. Yeah, Texture and Munchkin hit some nice shots, but they did something special that I wanted to save up for this round. With their constant awareness of gaps and super setups, we see one more forming in their 2-3, where Yoru is going to try and get early info on B, while these three create a gross crossfire. Now Sentinels are down bad, and need to prioritize getting their Bladestorm before anything else. KO suppresses A, Viper smokes mid, creating a triple threat Lurk Orb, and Sova darts and Cypher cams elbow, tagging Yoru and forcing him to TP. This map-wide default has GenG on the back foot, allowing Sentinels to do as they please. But before grouping A, Sova drones mid just to make sure the area is clear for Viper to lurk through later. Their mid-round call is a split through shop, halls, and double door for a suffocating triple pinch enabled by this earlier default. But here's the thing, as the round started, Lakia quickly slotted himself into this cubby, and Keron opened the door. To the offense, this would look like the halls players on the right side, but that's just a bait. Plus, by keeping the door open, it just makes this room awkward to clear without exposing yourself to too much. And at the same time, it allows you to constantly keep an eye on halls or move around the map much faster, assisting your teammates where they need. You should open this door more often. So, just how smart is John QT?
Open himself up to it.
He's not thinking about it.
Not thinking about it at all. Lakia, punishment is there in place, over the top with the knives, dodging, dashing, and away for one blade left. And Zekken needs that rejuvenation. He's got it, but instantly again, Keron, the trade is there. Fundamentals off the bloody chart for GenG, and this is it, surely, with the map pushed into the positions, already there. Clone revealed the position, flash through into the box. Sassy's out, wide and alone. Scared for his life, too much to deal with, indeed. GenG lead the chart.
Was Masters Madrid more satisfying than Champs though? Watch this video and you tell me. Also, if you want me to cover more of this grand finals, let me know.